Good afternoon, everyone. It's Robert from On My Turntable. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Beautiful day out there today. Not quite air conditioning weather, but I do have the fans on just to cool things down because it's really nice and it's nice outside. Um, finally, spring is here. I wanted to continue my Albums to Discover series through Discog Shuffle. If you recall, last time this wonderful album popped up, Chicago 5. Obviously, the fifth studio album by the band. Fourth under the name Chicago, as the first one was Chicago Transit Authority. And I'll talk about that one in just a second. So, as I said earlier, very first album was called Chicago Transit Authority. This is their debut album. I also have it on vinyl. 1969 release. Nominated for Best New Artist of the Year and inducted the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2014. A remarkable album. Their first three albums, double albums. I spoke a little bit about their first three albums in a contest that I just entered this morning from JC Rock and Metal Review, his 300 subs contest. So I entered Chicago in as their first three albums again. Between the double albums of the first three, I don't know, 70 some tracks. I mean, it's a great introduction to a wonderful band, Chicago. So again, Chicago Transit Authority. You got Introduction. Does anybody really know what time it is? The big hit for these guys. Beginnings, another amazing track. Question 67 and 68. Listen, Poem 58. Preform guitar. Terry Kath, and the highly underrated guitarist. Jimi Hendrix said he was better than he was. Just a natural born guitarist and highly underrated. Unfortunately, after their 10th album or around their 11th album, he accidentally shot himself. Tragic loss for the band. They went in a completely different direction. I stopped listening to them after that point. But their first 10 albums with Terry, amazing stuff. I'm a Man, heavy track. So good. The solo in this is amazing. South California Purples, Prologue, and Someday, and Liberation. I mean, amazing album. Both on CD and vinyl. I mean, the CD sounds awesome. And then their second album, probably one of my favorites. This is a remarkable album. One thing about Chicago is they never named their albums. It was just basically one through whatever. At least I don't think they did. Maybe in their later stuff. But Chicago 2, the 1970 release. They had to use the name Chicago because Chicago Transit Authority, the actual Chicago Transit Authority, didn't appreciate them using their name. So lawsuits ensued, and they dropped the Transit Authority part of their name and just went with Chicago. More Grammy nominations for this one. Album of the Year, Contemporary Vocal Group, and Best Album Cover of the Year as well. You got Make Me Smile, Color My World, and the fantastic 25 or 624. Heavy solo on that one. It's just remarkable. Another underrated album, Chicago 3, a double album, again their third double album. More jamming on this one. It doesn't get the love that the other two got or deserved, but this one on its own is just a remarkable style. There's so many different styles on this one. You've got slide guitar and a countrified couple of tracks. You've got a drum solo included in this one. You've got blues tracks. You've got jamming tracks as well, and heavy rock tracks like a Canned Heat or Electric Flag, that type of sound. Just remarkable. And the horns are just killer. Their horns are just killer. Peter Cetera starting to write more of his stuff. There's great harmonies. The Peter Cetera in the earlier years was, he didn't get into his sappy ballad years until they changed directions. David Foster got involved, and I'm not even going to go there because it was just a crappy time for the band. Once Terry Kath passed away, they didn't know what direction they were going to take. And, MTV and production and the music industry got involved, and they decided that Peter Cetera was the leader. Up until that point, there were 7 leaders in the band. All members were leaders, so whenever they come up with an idea, the other band members got behind them, and then all of a sudden, David Foster got involved. Peter Cetera became the leader, and it just went sappy and everything else. So, unfortunately, not a very good. Not a very good time for the band. Chicago 4, I don't have yet. I haven't found a copy of it. It's live at Carnegie Hall, recorded in 1971. Another double album by the band, or a 4 CD box set, if you get the CD version of it. So, getting to the albums to discover, Chicago 5. It's their first single album, where their first 4 were double albums. It's a great album. Less jamming, more singles type of an album. First big hit, #1 hit, Saturday in the Park, and Dialogue, cool track. They returned to Back to the Bones, I guess, straight ahead singles album. Most of them, and almost all of them, written by Robert Lamb. He was just a creative genius at the time. When he came into the band, when they first formed, he had a book of songs that he had written. Terry Kath only had 1 song in there, Alma Mater, the final track on the album, and it's a great acoustic track showing his powers as an acoustic player as well. Peter Cetera didn't write any of the songs on this particular album, but Chicago 5 would become their first #1 hit, spending 9 weeks on the chart. So, no slouch of an album. No slouch of an album. And my notes are all screwed up here. Wow. Chicago 6. Obviously a follow-up from Chicago 5. On the same vein as Chicago 5. Another single album. First album really with all the band members on the cover. Up until that point, you never saw the band. This is recorded at the Caribou Ranch by their producer, James William Gershow. And they just went wild there. I mean, it was unlimited, everything. Literally everything. If you watch their documentary, they had time to play in that ranch. So this is another great album. Released in 1973, another #1 album. 2 big hits off of this one, Feeling Stronger Every Day and Just You and Me. Robert Lamb wrote half of the album, and James Pankow, the trombone player, another great artist in his own right, wrote Just You and Me and Feeling Stronger Every Day, the 2 singles off of it. And Peter Cetera, along with James Pankow, co-wrote those 2 songs as well. Also, he wrote the song In Terms of Two. So, great combination of talents getting together to write a great album. Another underrated album, again, back to a double album this time. This is Chicago 7. Again, not really talked about too much. I don't know why, because it is a great album. Released in 1974. 3 big hits off of this one. I've Been Searching So Long, Call on Me, and Wish You Were Here. Perhaps a little softer in some ways than the previous 6 albums, but All members contributed to the songwriting and the singing. Some of the James Pankow sang a couple of tracks. Lee Loughlin, the trumpet player, sang a track. Of course, Peter Cetera, Robert Lamb, Terry Kath, all contributing to the album. I don't have Chicago 8, so I've got to find it as well. Back to a single album also. Chicago 9 is actually a greatest hits album. You've got, again, there's a picture of the band there. You've got Just You and Me, Saturday in the Park, 25 or 624. I've Been Searching So Long, Color My World, Wish You Were Here, Feeling Stronger Every Day, Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is, Makes Me Smile, Call on Me, and Beginnings. Great, great album. And finally, Chicago 10, the last album I have of the band, and probably the only, other than the previous two that I don't have, this will be the last as far as me getting more Chicago, because after this, Terry Kath wasn't involved, obviously because he had passed away. And then they went in a different direction altogether, more ballady, more softer, more 80s soft pop rock, and it just wasn't Chicago. Wasn't Chicago at all. But great looking album. I love the cover, the label on it as well. Released in '76, 3 #1 singles off the album. And also the first album to go platinum. Another Rainy Day in New York City, and If You Leave Me Now, #1 songs. Nominated for Album of the Year. Terry Kath wasn't happy with the direction this was going. It was just the beginning of more ballads, and he was a straight-ahead rock and roller. So even at that time, before he passed away, he wasn't happy with the direction Chicago was going. So I'd say it's a bit of a step down from the previous albums, but if you want to get into Chicago, get their first 10. Any of their first 10 are amazing. The first 2, probably their best, and but the writing and the talent of this band is just remarkable. And all 7 musicians contributed. All 7 musicians are at the top of their game, and amazing, amazing stuff. So that's it for Chicago. Let's see what else is on the Albums to Discover series through Discog Shuffle. So let's get into here. Go to my Discogs. Nothing listed. And we'll go up here to random item. Supertramp. Oh, Even in the Quietest Moments. Amazing album. I love Supertramp. Looking forward to that one. So that's coming up next on Robert's on My Turntables Albums to Discover series through Discog Shuffle. Everyone have a wonderful day. Love you all. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.